welcome back to my kitchen. So yesterday we made manteca. We used the pig fat to render the manteca that we're going to be using to prepare our tamales this year. When we render the manteca, we also got chicharrones. So today I'm going to use the chicharrones to make some gorditas. Here I have about 5 cups of chicharron. To prepare the recipe, we're also going to need 2 Roma tomatoes diced, 1/4 of a white onion. This was a very large onion. If you have a smaller onion, you might want to use half of it. 2 garlic cloves minced and about 3 jalapenos. If you want your spicy, you can substitute the jalapenos for serrano peppers. We're going to start by adding the chicharrones into the food processor. Just right, otherwise it won't work. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to use the pulse method. Turn it on a few times. Okay, that should be good. Let's see what it looks like. If not, we can always put it back on the blender. And this is what it should look like. If you want it smaller, you can blend it a couple more times, but this is pretty much the consistency that we want. Now that we have that done, we're gonna set it aside and we're gonna prepare the masa for the gorditas. When making gorditas, I personally like to add a little bit of all-purpose flour because it keeps everything together and they don't fall apart. But everybody makes them different. Today I'm going to try them with this flour and see how it works because this is the same flour that they use to make arepas and I want to give it a try. Here I have about 3 cups of water. I'm going to start by adding 2 cups of water to the bowl. This is warm water. It's not super hot, it's just a little bit warm. And it's warm enough to where it's going to be able to melt 2 tablespoons of butter. This is unsalted butter. And I'm also going to add about 1 tablespoon of chicken bouillon. Yes, you guessed it. And while our butter is softening up, we're going to try to open this. We're going to start with 2 cups first. About 1 cup, 2, and then we're going to mix. We're going to start mixing with our spatula. And once we have this mixed, we should be able to determine if we need more water. We are going to need more water. And this time I'm just going to mix by hand. At this point, I'm not going to add any additional water or corn flour. I'm going to continue to mix until it comes together. After a few minutes of mixing, if it still hasn't come together, add a little bit of corn flour. You'll know your masa is ready once it's no longer sticking to your hand. At this point, we're going to let it rest for about 15 to 20 minutes while we prepare the chicharron. To prepare the chicharron, I'm not going to add any oil or fat to the pan. I'm going to add the chicharron directly to the pan, and we're going to cook over medium heat for about 10 minutes or until the chicharron is slightly soft and it begins to release some of the fat. After approximately 10 minutes, we're going to add in the diced tomato, onion, and the minced garlic. Mix in the ingredients with the chicharron, and next we're going to add a few seasonings. I'm going to add about 1 teaspoon of Mexican oregano, 1 tablespoon of chili powder, and about 1/4 teaspoon of cumin. I'm not going to add salt because the chicharron already contains salt. But as you're cooking it, you can taste it, and if it needs more, you can definitely add more. We're going to continue to cook this for an additional 12 to 15 minutes, and we're going to come back and move it around every once in a while. Once it looks like this, we're going to remove it from the burner, and we're going to set it aside while we prepare the gorditas. Before preparing the gordita, rub a little bit of vegetable oil on your hands or manteca. This is going to keep the masa from sticking to your hands, and it's going to give your gordita a much smoother texture. You may also want to keep a small bowl of water handy, just in case the masa is too dry. If that happens, start over and add a little bit of water to your hands and continue to prepare the gordita. Begin by shaping the masa into a smooth ball of dough. Then begin to shape your gordita by passing it back and forth. You want the gorditas to have a little bit of thickness, and don't worry too much if they don't come out perfect the first time. With practice, these are going to come as perfect as the ones you find in the store. Place the gordita on the griddle or the comal and cook over low medium heat for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Make sure your burner is not too hot, otherwise your gorditas will burn. I like to cook mine on very low heat and just let it cook very slowly. And if this is your first time making gorditas, you might want to flip them over using a spatula. It's okay to use a spatula. I sometimes use it myself. Once your gorditas have cooled down and they're cool enough to handle, we're going to make a small incision on the side to open them up so we can fill them up with the filling. The best way to do so is by inserting the knife and just move it around very slowly, making sure not to rip the gordita on the outer parts. It should look similar to a little pita pocket, just like this. Now we're going to fill it up with your favorite melting cheese and the chicharron. You can prepare gorditas by filling them with just about anything, beans, and it's a great way to use up your leftover food from the previous nights. You can also deep fry these, but I personally like to just place them on a comal for about a minute or two on each side or until the cheese is nice and melted. Depending on what part of Mexico, you may have different names for these gorditas. Some people call them arapes, sopes. They're prepared many different ways. Even though we're all from different parts of the world, we all prepare recipes that are very similar. And now it's time to enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it useful. And if you did, give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in our next video with a different recipe.